Over the course of this week, our social media feeds were rife with news and photographs from Israel. Earlier this month, we saw images that projected happiness and hope when Israel had managed to vaccinate a majority of its population. But the new reports and images coming out from the West Asian country are far from it. This is not a festive event. These are flashes from explosions of weapons and rockets over Israel launched from Gaza on Israel's southwestern border. But what is this conflict that has escalated to such levels? Reports say that well over 100 people have died in airstrikes and rockets, fired amidst a swiftly deteriorating situation. Here's a quick recap. Firstly, Gaza is a small strip of Palestinian territory that is governed by Hamas, that many consider an aggressive and militant faction of the Palestinian government. Governing the strip independently, this faction has engaged in several conflicts with Israel over the last few decades. Secondly, a large number of holy sites for Muslims, Jews, and Christians lie on what is called the Holy Hilltop in Jerusalem. This city, the eastern part of which is governed by Israel, is a matter for contention between Palestine and Israel. Over the last week, following the month of Ramzan that the Muslims consider holy, clashes broke out between Israeli forces and people near the Al-Aqsa Mosque. Interestingly, Monday also happened to be Jerusalem Day, a national holiday celebrating the Israeli campaign in the city. This walled hilltop, for which Jordan serves as the custodian, became the site of clashes due to heightened sensitivities. Further accentuated by only Muslims being allowed to offer prayers, these clashes, not completely unknown in the city's history, snowballed into a significantly larger event. As a result of rising tensions, violent altercations ensued in several cities which have a mixed population of Arabs and Jews. These internal protests and the efforts of Israeli forces to stop them, coupled with the violent clashes, led to tensions flaring up between Israel and Gaza. Late on Monday night, a barrage of rockets was fired from the strip into Israel. But did all these rockets hit Israel? Which brings us to the Iron Dome, the famous air defense system developed by Israel. Using the advanced radar detection, the Iron Dome fires ground-to-air missiles that effectively intercept and destroy rockets in mid-air. The system, though expensive, has been known to have 90% accuracy when deployed. Even when this ingenious defense system managed to neutralize a large majority of projectiles, casualties have been reported in Israel. This includes an Indian woman from Kerala who was struck with a rocket. Israel's response to the rockets, however, has been aggressive and unforgiving. Through the days that followed, retaliatory fire has brought down multiple Hamas offices, including the underground system of tunnels used by Hamas forces. This reprisal has also resulted in civilian casualties, as Hamas offices and military establishments in the densely populated strip are often amongst civilian buildings. On the global level, even when Israeli retaliation has invited criticism, many nations are treating it as the regional conflict that it is, although a general restraint has been requested from both sides. On Sunday, when the UNSC met again, India's permanent representative to the United Nations, Ambassador T.S. Tirumurthy, condemned the violence that was being perpetrated through indiscriminate rocket firings from the Gaza Strip. Furthermore, India called upon both sides for the need to exercise restraint. Yesterday, when Israeli diplomats attended the funeral for Soumya Santosh, the Kerala native who was killed by a rocket fired from Gaza, it highlighted the deep respect that India and Israel continue to share for each other. Sunday also marked one of the bloodiest days in the conflict, when over 3,000 rockets were fired into Israel, with many actually falling in Gaza before even crossing the border. The Israeli airstrikes that followed have managed to neutralize several Hamas strongholds. In a somewhat strange development, the conflict has managed to captivate attention in India as well, given the heights of friendship that the Netanyahu-Modi equation has ushered in, as well as recent aid and support India has received from Israel, like the series of flights bringing in medical equipment over the last week. Concern was natural. Given the current COVID-19 crisis wreaking havoc across the world, it is easy for tempers to be frayed. However, it is paramount to promote cooperation and restraint whenever possible. Even as the fighting on the border has increased, diplomats have advocated the policy of de-escalation, an idea communicated by Israeli ambassadors as well. Reports suggest that casualties have been incurred on both sides and a swift retaliation has left Gaza hanging by a thread. But an attempted return to normalcy seems to be the only way out of the conflict. A solution we hope comes sooner rather than later. Until next time, keep watching New India Junction for more insights. Remember to stay healthy, safe, and get vaccinated if you are eligible. Dhanyavad and Namaste.